In Michigan, it provides a challenge with the unions. You say right to work, and the first thing people do is they just shut you down. So you have to approach it. You have to approach the grassroots with a very different perspective. We work with over 50 Tea Party groups in Michigan, and my personal history has assisted me in communicating to them the problem. All my aunts and uncles, grandparents, parents, all union members, GM, Ford, Chrysler, steelworkers, the whole gambit. And you really can't demonize the union workers, as the former speaker said. You really have to go after the union leadership. And in communicating with the Tea Party people, you have to make them understand and break it down so they realize what's at stake here. It's easy to go out there and fight taxes and increase regulation. We send an action alert out from Americans for Prosperity on taxes, and you get thousands of people to respond. You send one out on a more complicated issue, and it just doesn't quite resonate. So I weave into every speech I give, I really take on the unions. But I start out saying unions put food on the dinner table for me, my family. My sister's here, actually. I didn't know she was going to be here. But
so we're just real popular.
So, something interesting happened in 2009. Unions now represent more people in the public sector than the private sector. And I let people know that. And the reason I let them know that is because, like any organization, unions want to grow and get larger. So to get larger, the area of growth is government. And in order to get even larger, they have to grow government, they have to raise taxes, they have to increase regulation, more employees, more employees. So we fight these battles on taxes and regulations, but really what we would like to see is to take the unions out at the knees so they don't have the resources to fight these battles. So if you look at the successful right-to-work campaigns in Oklahoma and Idaho, the last two successful ones, they had a multi-year campaign. You look at those states where they just throw right-to-work on the ballot, it usually loses, because we can't compete dollar for dollar. In Michigan, they were looking at putting right-to-work on the ballot a couple years ago, and polling's great, mid-70s support. But how do you compete against a $100 million barrage from the unions? It's almost impossible. So what our goal is in Michigan is start to undercut the union's credibility on a bunch of issues. We talk about prevailing wage, project labor agreements, binding arbitration. But the key is to make people understand. I spent 15 years in the legislature, and every time there was a tax increase, a new regulation, it was the unions right there fighting for it. And the grassroots really understand that. And I do want to say, it's interesting in Michigan, Democrat Mayor Bing, the mayor of Detroit, said in the fall of 2009, either they can't read, can't add, or can't comprehend in regards to ASME union and failure for them to give concessions. So it's interesting that one of the major players in Michigan on the front line fighting unions is a Democrat. So, thank you.